Think about the last time you felt deeply stressed or heartbroken. It feels entirely obvious that someone else or some outside situation caused that pain, but they didn't. Our minds are wired to demand that the things we care about, our relationships, our possessions, our status, stay exactly the way they are, forever. But look at the physical world. Everything in nature is in a constant state of decay. Mountains break down, seasons shift, and nothing stays frozen in time. In ancient Buddhist philosophy, failing to accept this reality is called avidya, or ignorance. It is not a lack of intelligence. It is a stubborn, subconscious refusal to accept that things change. Because we refuse to adapt to a reality that is constantly shifting, we end up manufacturing our own misery from the inside out. Over 2 millennia ago, the Buddha mapped out exactly how we build this misery. This painting illustrates what he called dependent origination, a 12-part code detailing the exact cycle of human suffering. The logic behind it is entirely mechanical. The rule is simple. Because A exists, B arises. If A ceases, B ceases. This operates as a psychological chain reaction, a domino effect that begins with one misunderstood thought and gains momentum until it ends in profound sorrow. If we can map these 12 links, we can locate the exact fraction of a second where we actually have the power to step in, break the chain, and stop the cycle permanently. Suffering is a machine that our minds build automatically, and any machine that is built can be dismantled. The chain starts with that underlying ignorance we mentioned earlier. That blind spot directly generates our deep-seated biases and habits, what the texts call mental formations, or sankhara. These ingrained habits act as a filter, shaping our basic awareness and consciousness. That consciousness then creates our entire mind-body complex, our physical senses and our thoughts. This diagram shows how consciousness and the mind-body complex rely entirely on each other. They lean against one another to stand up. Like two heavy bundles of reeds propped together, if you pull one away, the other instantly collapses. Neither exists on its own. What we call our self is really just a temporary, fragile structure, constantly propped up by past habits and our own refusal to see things clearly. Once that mind-body complex is formed, it opens its eyes and ears to the world. Our 6 senses are constantly making contact with outside information. Every single time a sense makes contact with something, a sight, a sound, a memory, it automatically triggers a biological sensation. That feeling is always either pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Here is where the problem starts. When a feeling is pleasant, we immediately want more of it. When it is unpleasant, we desperately push it away. This automatic reaction is craving, turning a tiny spark into a raging fire. Left unchecked, that craving hardens into clinging. We develop a rigid, inescapable grip on our desires, demanding that the world conform to exactly what we want. This endless clinging guarantees a continuous cycle of striving and becoming, and that striving leads straight into the final links of the chain: inevitable aging, decay, grief, and despair. Notice what happened. A perfectly normal, neutral biological sensation was weaponized by our own minds into a lifetime of anxiety. So how do we dismantle it? We have to find the single weak point in this 12-step chain. We can't stop our senses from seeing and hearing, and we can't stop feeling sensations. Those first links happen automatically, but there is a fraction of a second between feeling and craving. That gap is our target. By withholding the reaction at this exact moment, we override the default logic of the cycle. It is the only stage in the entire sequence where a biological event doesn't have to lead to an emotional crisis. Instead of meeting a sensation with blind craving, we have to meet it with wisdom. We observe the feeling, acknowledge that it is temporary, and let it pass. When you stop reacting, the engine starves. Without new clinging, old mental habits burn away, and no new ones are formed. To see this in practice, look at this photograph of a monk in meditation. This embodies true non-reaction, a state of liberation or nirvana. The world will always change, and it will always provoke feelings. But the moment you observe those feelings without trying to own or control them, the chain is broken and the suffering ends.